Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Me in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. And again, I think about the title I gave this series back in September, October 2013 when I had acquired the Bible of the Freemasons. It's an actual King James Bible, it appears, with the New Testament and the Old Testament, plus a whole section in the beginning about King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem and the pyramids and ancient structures in Egypt. And since then, I've learned a lot. So that would be my series book review 1 on the Bible with the Freemasonic symbol and pictures in it. Go watch it. But anyways, since then, as one can imagine, doing this research since 2005 and making videos since 2013, that you learn something, you get an accumulated knowledge, and you can have an opinion. So, supposedly, if you're a sincere thinker, researcher, and you have some common sense. And I don't say that lightheartedly, because it seems like a lot of people can't see things logically no matter what you do. Common sense seems to have left the building, so they would say. So it does seem the answer to my question about this whole thing, Freemasonry and Satanism, Freemasonry being an all-encompassing title for all the secret societies, whatever they are, Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, Rosicrucian, witches organizations, the Illuminati, Freemasons, Kabbalist, the occult, magic, sorcery, witchcraft. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around, what is witchcraft? What is sorcery? What is the occult? Why did many of these organizations, why did they swear under threat of death not to divulge the secrets? Why have a lot of people been assassinated? Why do they have all these sacrificial rituals, so it seems, occult meanings even to 911, the pyramid, the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, the Emmys, Grammys, Super Bowl halftime shows, opening to the Switzerland tunnel, and much more. The Archway of Baal in New York, London, and later on I find out that UNESCO from the United Nations was trying to put up 1,000 of these all over the world. Monuments to the devil. And these are real things. This really happened. You can go look it up. So what does it all mean? What's behind it? Our reality. You sit down and think to yourself, I'm going to make a video here. And I'm going to say, I'd like to discuss some things we all can agree that is absolute. To have a sentence that everybody will agree. I guess one sentence would be something so silly like, there are trees on Earth. Whether it's round or flat, there are trees. Okay, we can all agree with that. How about the question, do we have spirits or souls? Are we originally spiritual beings? And this whole reality with the trees, is it a manifested reality, almost like a fishbowl, designed just for these physical bodies to eat, breathe and sleep and enjoy life, or suffer, is the whole thing a manifestation, a flat earth maybe with the dome on it, which if you go on the Rosicrucian material or the Hermetic material, Kabbalistic material, Helena Blavatsky's secret doctrine, they have pictures like that. And sometimes they have pictures that people will be looking out of the dome on the other side to the other world. I think Lost in Space, that TV program, even had an episode about that. So again, what is reality? Who is causing all of the confusion, the even double-mindedness? 50% of the population think this way, and the other 50% think this way. Is it an intentional divide? 911, using something called the Hegelian dialectic. They create an event so that they can do something else or cause something else or persuade the population. Like 911, since then we've seen Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya, and so many countries in the Middle East be thoroughly destroyed and bombed. Even in Iraq, they used depleted uranium in the shells that were fired, the rockets, in the warheads. Where's the logic of that as far as from the standpoint of humanity? To put depleted uranium all over the ground, in the air, even with the USA troops, people from Canada, Britain, Germany, people fighting over there, that depleted uranium gets in the air. Something very sinister about that. So anyways, another book or books I've been looking at and continuing my pursuit of WTH. What the heck is going on? What is our reality? If we are really originally spiritual beings, you could almost say that's like an angel. When we leave these bodies, we go to the spiritual realm. You know, ghosts, angels, whatever it is. We get to go rejoin that world. And maybe this world is just a created manifestation, some kind of computer program, and closed in with a magnetic field and some kind of computer software making everything stay together electromagnetically and other types of physics, like gravity, and trees emitting oxygen while they suck in carbon dioxide. It just seems that somebody has really went through a lot of trouble to design this earth that we live on. And it seems that for quite a while, there are forces that are trying to destroy this world that we live on. So with the last video I did on series 165, the coming of the cosmic Christ, so that would be some spiritual being coming to earth, being a Christ, not Jesus Christ, but Christ calling himself an anointed one, the Savior of mankind. And if we are spiritual beings, which I believe we are, I don't care if you're Chinese, Indian from India, German, Russian, Brazilian, Peruvian, Navajo Indian, Hopi Indian, Eskimo, Canadian, American, whatever. If we're spiritual beings, we're all going back to the spiritual realm. And I think it's pretty important, like graduating high school. It's pretty important to try to get the program done right. When you get to the other side, you don't want to look back and say, man, I could have, I would have, I should have. It's too late then. It's the now. And the world needs to be changed. And I think we, the people, need to step up and make the change. Can't leave it to the unelected officials, the ones that pretty much deceive the public. They take polls from a community just to find out what the community wants to hear. What do they want? And the politicians are given that little poll research data, and they go out there and do a speech and tell those people what they want. When they move to the next community, they have polls taken and find out what the people there want. And that same politician will tell those people what they want, even if it's the opposite what he told these people. To them, it's a game of deception. But there are things that we can all agree on. There are trees out there. I hope nobody's going to argue that point. And I just wonder if honest politician, if that word, those two words, are they oxymorons? Is there any such thing as an honest politician? Just making a joke there. But we people, to step up, not worried about whether we live or die, we have a fortune or lose our fortune or money. To me, that seems slightly irrelevant if you think about the big picture. That forever is a very long time and we're really spiritual beings. And I'm not a preacher. I'm just concerned. I'm concerned that the planet that I grew up in, walking in the woods, going fishing, water skiing, sailing, school, eating healthy food, drinking clean water from the faucet. I'm just worried that those things may not be available for people in the future. Call me crazy, but I care about other people. Black, white, yellow, red, men, women, tall, short, I don't care. It's a planet we all share. Anyways, the books I want to talk about today, series 166. And 66 is kind of an ominous number. KKK, if you didn't know that, is 666666. Because K is the 11th letter. Numerology, that would be 11 times 6 is 66. So the Ku Klux Klans is 666666. And this is series 166. And I think 66 was the one I made on another ominous book. But are these books ominous? Are they kind of deception, bringing to the planet some antichrist? Or are they sincere, benevolent writings in these books? You can't just read a book and try to absorb it and say, well, that's the way it is. Because these New Age publishing organizations, as you'll see in this video, have published a lot of material and even named a lot of the magazines Lucifer magazine. And some people are convinced Lucifer's the good guy. Strangely enough, if you watched the Lucifer program this last Monday night on TV, he was questioning one of the criminals. And so another guy was looking through the one-way glass. And the Lucifer in the TV series is a tall, good-looking British man. All the women are going gaga over him. But when he was questioning this man for doing something evil, he switched to his devil face, which was really a scary-looking face. And this other guy saw it through the one-way glass and totally freaked out, as you can imagine. So even the TV program, my point here, is that Lucifer in the TV program is portrayed as the devil. So some people want to believe the devil is actually the good guy. And God is the bad guy for trying to get people to love one another and not kill and steal from each other and lie to each other and do adulterous activities, perverted sexual things, sodomy, pedophilia, orgies, bisexual activities, not to frivolize sex. And again, I'm not a preacher. I just wanted to live and let live when I grew up. But being an aware person, I was aware, and I am aware, that there's just too much bizarreness going on in the world. So, anyways, these two books were in my program for reading. I've been reading them off and on for a couple of years. The Reappearance of the Christ and the Masters of Wisdom by Benjamin Creme. It's like 1977. The Reappearance of the Christ, the Masters of Wisdom, Benjamin Creme. And here we have another Benjamin Creme book, Messages from Maitreya the Christ. So you got this Maitreya the Christ, this Benjamin Creme, that it's a reappearance of the Christ coming to earth to save mankind. Should be an interesting video. But before I start, I'd like to reinforce what a lot of us already know. That there are some weird stuff, weird things that have happened on planet Earth in our lifetime and are happening now. I just watched a Jim Carrey video this morning and another video with Tim Rifat and Jeff Reese on Katy Perry. Apparently part 3 of 3 2-hour videos examining her singing videos frame by frame and showing the occult, sorcery, nature of it, magic. They're delivering a message. Somehow, we the people need to start paying attention to these messages, like the all-seeing eye and pyramid on the back of the $1 bill. But some pictures, I just went to my picture thing and grabbed some pictures I've had printed in the course of my research the last 4 years. I have in 4 shoeboxes all categorized all these pictures. So I went to get the one that was relevant to this conversation. The activities and symbolism that exist in our society today that speaks volumes if only we will look. For example, the Denver airport and that horse with the glowing red eyes. And I think a lot of people agree it's just very strange. And then, of course, the biblical passage, Beware the Pale Horse. William Cooper wrote a book, Beware the Pale Horse. I made a video on his book, and I'll be revisiting William Cooper's book, Beware a Pale Horse, one of those books I read 3 or 4 years ago at the beginning of my investigation. And apparently the murals, the paintings inside the airport are all occultic. A lot of people know this stuff. You can look it up. And again, I encourage anybody to have a notebook and take notes when I make these videos or when you watch other people's videos. And here's something interesting. A video. What is that chair that Obama is sitting in? What's with the other symbols in this picture? The bow, crossbow. And the 3 pine cones in the dish. And the statue in the corner. Some strange things there. And we know these, I'm just going to these in the order when I grabbed them out of the shoebox. So I have to just ad lib here and talk about what I see. And then a lot of people are into the chakra system, the energy system, the kundalini, going into meditative states, practicing yoga. What's with that? The Denver International Airport has the Freemasonic plaque there, telling us that a lot of this stuff has related to these secret societies. Strange indeed. Denver Airport. Strange indeed. I think this is a Katy Perry Illuminati Witchcraft Analysis Dark Horse, because in the Katy Perry video, that's a witch's symbol in the center, and you can see the horse in Katy Perry. So it's not just my imagination about this stuff. Here's one of the pictures at the Denver airport. If that's not concerning, I don't know what is. Here's another picture from the Denver airport painting. There's many paintings. Even the Freemasonic plaque you just saw, and the horse outside the airport. A little girl in a coffin. What do you suppose that means? And more statues around the world that are kind of odd. I'm just saying that we the people need to kind of wake up. Denver airport, more of the paintings. Look at the rainbow colors, the gay agenda, the New Age symbol. The mask on the bottom, the two doves, the shark or dolphin. So a lot of people have already pointed all this stuff out. The USA flag, looks like a lot of death and destruction. What's going on? And go down to your historic local city and ask yourself, why are there gargoyles or beasts on the buildings? Is this at the Denver airport? Some kind of beast sitting inside a suitcase? All this symbolism talking about the New Age and the world press, New Age. Things like Stonehenge. What does it all mean? What is really the truth about our reality? Celebrate the new age of Earth. So is this new age, just because it's new, doesn't mean it's good. Somebody wants to bring about a paradigm shift and destroy Christianity, destroy normalcy. I went to get a haircut not too long ago. A year ago, I remember this incident. I said to the guy, he goes, what kind of haircut do you want? I said, well, I have a business meeting next week. I'd like a nice, normal, clean-cut haircut. And this guy just lost it. He screamed. He goes, there's no such thing as normal. He really freaked me out. I got out of the chair and said, I'm going someplace else. Later on at the new place where I went to get a haircut, I told them what happened. They said that guy was a gay guy, and he had a bad case of depression and didn't get along with anybody anywhere. So I do think sometimes some of these things can mess with people's minds. And the symbolisms are everywhere. You see these symbols, but do we really know what they mean? And in this same package of pictures, you got some galactic federation beings, Palladians, tall whites, Nordics, symbols in his hand there, like the pyramid on the $1 bill, and the six-pointed star on his shirt there, like the six-pointed star on the Israeli flag. And comets in the background. What does all this stuff mean? You think it's meant to mess with our minds? The New Age baby name book. The New Age and baby name book. People doing this, 666s in their hands. Look at the flames on one hand and the water on the other hand. The New Age has begun with a giant fist smashing the earth. What's that telling us? You maybe haven't seen all these pictures, but they're out there for public consumption. Some people have seen them. It's meant for the mind. Yoga, sitting on a lion. People doing things with their hands. What does it mean? Not going over all these. I just wanted to point out that there are a lot of odd things out there. And there's the six-pointed star and then the devil sign with the earth in the middle. Concerning. Taoism versus the New Age. Taoism. Just these pictures, they were in the box. I haven't looked at them in quite a while. Probably in one of my previous videos a couple years ago, I went through these pictures. What does it mean? The New Age movement. And I'm sure if you go on Yahoo image site and look up New Age, you'll find most of these pictures. And there's links to these pictures. Tells you where they came from, what they're trying to show us. Look at the woman, the colors, the earth. What is this New Age they're marketing in such brilliant pieces of artwork? With the pyramid and the numbers and the wings and the person. And the eye. And Mother Earth embracing the people, standing around in a circle, the bright sun in the middle. What does it all mean? With Carrie Perry doing the satanic ritual with the dark horse. Jim Carrey talking on talk shows. You can go see his videos on YouTube. Discussing the Illuminati. And he even says, yeah, we got the symbols like this. And he flashes his tongue out and says all the Hollywood people know it. The only people who are not aware that all these occult groups exist are the deceived citizens, you and I. He says it. Go watch his video. So we see the symbols everywhere. We see a lot of people have these kinds of tattoos on their bodies. We see these symbols painted on the side of buildings in your downtown city areas, graffiti or paintings. El Yoga de Jesus. You think Jesus practiced yoga? So anyways, you can see clearly that somebody's trying to sell us something. Here's tarot cards. Tarot cards, that's the occult. Aleister Crowley was into the tarot cards, designed his own sets. He was known as the evilest man alive. So connect everything I just said to this picture, to reality. What do tarot cards mean? What is studying about the Kundalini and raising your consciousness, going into some kind of a ecstasy, connecting to another world, maybe connecting with other beings. Jesus and another being, is that what it is? Atmospheres, meditation, ethnic fusion, tribal, spiritual, neoclassic. Ethnic fusion, mixing everybody together. Globalism, communism, socialism. If everybody's going to get free food and rent, who's going to grow the crops, run the factories? Why do they want to depopulate the planet? Who's going to die and who's going to live? And those who live, are they going to be the masters or the slaves? Do people stop and think about these things? The deception. I think there's plenty of evidence to convince all of us there is a deception. So anyways, what is this New Age? What are they marketing to people? Something. This new fantasy reality. You think they're really preparing the world for that? Or is it a deception? Kundalini, unity, technology, new thought, Shambhala, the shift, astrology, Gaia, yoga, ascended masters, goddess, higher self, Maitreya. That was series number 159 on Maitreya. Zen, prayer, the New Age. Makes you want to dance. You think that was the purpose? Make you want to dance. Don't think about negative thoughts there. That's bad. Don't talk to people who think about negative things. That's bad. Don't think at all. Just dance. Trust the powers that be behind the scenes who are bringing you the new age and the new world order. Is that what they want us to think? It seems likely because that's what people say that I talk to. You bring about what you think about. How many times have I heard that? Satanic symbolism, the moon, the sun, even in Katy Perry's, Madonna's, Beyonce's, Lady Gaga. The lyrics in Bieber's song, Miley Cyrus's song, so many other songs. Do you listen to the words? What does all this mean? I didn't make these pictures. The New Age movement, New Age, old occult, a snake and an apple on this guy's shirt, sun's rays behind it, the earth is below, but he doesn't have a head. Weird. Alright, I'm almost finished. I'm sure somewhere you've seen these pictures on magazines, posters for rock bands playing or other kind of music downtown or clubs. Namaste. So who cares? Who's worried? I don't care. Namaste. Doesn't matter. Give it up. Because it's all a beautiful new age. Don't worry about the symbolisms that's everywhere, even at the Vatican. on your post office federal buildings with the eye and the pyramid. No worries. Freemasonic lodges in your city. No worries. New Age. What does the peace symbol really mean? Go look it up. I just thought I'd start this video off a little different. The New Age girl. The New Age girl. The New Age girl and guy in bliss on a planet with the stars and the planets. And isn't that a beautiful picture, you think? What does it mean? Ascension. All these key words. What does it mean? Is it beneficial to humanity what they're doing with the New Age and New World Order? Or is it detrimental and a plan for destruction and depopulation? Which are, it's pretty clear to see that we are under attack. They spent billions and billions of dollars. The Nova Era, the New Age, a pyramid with power above it. All right, one last one. What does it mean? What do you think it means? All right, so I got these books. Purchased them quite a while ago, years ago. I'll start with this one. Messages from Maitreya the Christ. 140 messages. So you got this 1980 copyright. 1977, July 19th. The Christ Maitreya, the world teacher, head of our spiritual hierarchy, the spiritual leaders, emerged from his ancient retreat and is now in the modern world. So where did Maitreya come from? Shambhala? Where is his ancient retreat? And is now in the modern world. With his disciples, the masters of wisdom, he will inaugurate the new age of synthesis and brotherhood. You ready for this? Benjamin Creme, a British artist and esoterist into the occult, magic, witchcraft. Just so you understand what esoteric means, the secret knowledge, explains, early in September 1977, I was taken before Maitreya. So this is Benjamin Crane. He was taken before Maitreya, some kind of being that calls himself the new savior, God, the representative of God. Is it the Antichrist, Lucifer, Satan, maybe a Palladian, a Zeta, one of these angels, beings? Who is he? I was taken before Maitreya, who asked if I would take publicly communications from him, which since 1974 I had received in the privacy of the group with which I work. I said I would try, and I would do my best. On September 6, 1977, the first public message was given at a friend's house, Euston Road, London, experimentally to find out how I stood up to this kind of mental overshadowing, spiritual telepathy in public. So he was doing channeling. And I've been going over channeling. A lot of people are following different channeled material on the internet. and actually going to lectures and buying books and going to regular meetings all over the world. People channeling some kind of entities from another dimension, maybe from a spaceship in orbit with high-tech equipment that can interface with our brains. We don't know. Are we supposed to trust the messages from these beings? Is it an Antichrist being? Is prophecy being fulfilled? Armageddon on the planet, the grand deception. So he's practicing the spiritual telepathy in public, a very different thing from the privacy of one's own group. The messages are relayed by me to the audience. No trance or mediumship is involved, and the voice is mine, strengthened in power and altered in pitch by the overshadowing energy of Maitreya. So he says no trance or mediumship is involved, that he's wide awake like I am right now, and his voice is taken over by another being. They are transmitted simultaneously all over the astral and mental planes, while I supply the basic etheric physical vibration for this to take place. From these subtle levels, the messages impress the minds and hearts of countless people who are generally made aware of the thoughts and the presence of the Christ. A great thought form is being built on the inner planes, embodying the fact of a Christ presence. So I think about this sometimes, even when we were reading recently with the Voices from the Cosmos, Series 160, with Angela Smith, PhD, channeling all those different aliens and making that book up with messages, which I will be going through that book and sharing more material. But a great thought form is being built on the inner planes, embodying the fact of the Christ presence. So again, I talked about our reality that we're in. Is it a manifested, created reality under some kind of, we're surrounded by some electromagnetic field? Just think of it as a almost real 3D hologram. Are we living something like that? Do we really believe what we feel to be solid? Is it really solid? Or is it just one heck of a great program? Anyways, when you talk about thought forms, if it is all a manifestation, a high-density holographic reality we live in, and you can change things with your mind, thought forms, which project like radio waves from a radio station transmitting signals, or a TV station, it transmits electromagnetic signals. And we humans, our brains are electromagnetic, and we think, science has proven this, we transmit radiations. And probably on a step-up level, greater than just electromagnetic, involving other force fields, quantum physics. So if they can change what people think from the thought forms that has been created into some new type of thought form reality, can they cause people to change the way they're thinking, which will somehow change the whole reality, like a Mandela effect, where people will say, wait a minute, wasn't the label on that product spelled a different way? Or didn't I remember that over here? Instead of Looney Tunes, was it Looney Tunes? I've read a lot of material and watched a lot of videos, and I have a lot of books, like the Philadelphia Experiment and the book on oddities back here, where a whale would pop up on a field in Nebraska. I guess electromagnetic radiations like lightning bolts in the ocean can cause some kind of vortex and actually transport something from here to there in this reality we live in. Like time travel, we're teleporting, we're telepathy. What is the occult? And we are spiritual beings that are less dense than these physical bodies. Just saying that this book is talking about a great thought form is being built. So when you get all these things from the pictures I just showed, and you're changing the way people think, are you actually creating a new structured reality thought form? Can they convince enough people to believe that this Maitreya Christ anointed being is coming? Can it be manifested? Is there some intelligence behind the scenes? Obviously there is. They're bringing us all these rituals almost every day, even shootings and fires and hurricanes and just weirdness, earthquakes and destruction and craziness stuff in the news. It does mess with the mind. Yes? No? A great thought form is being built on the inner planes, embodying the fact of the Christ presence. This thought form is then tuned into by these sensitives. So people studying yoga, meditation, or getting into these occult organizations and getting initiated, are they tuning into these entities or thought forms from another dimension? Or they may be right in this etheric field right around me. Like books like The Separate Reality. I made videos on Carlos Castaneda going down to Mexico and taking peyote and other drugs with a Mexican priest Shama. So he could see. He would sit there around the fire at night taking these drugs, and the whole reality would shift. It's in that book. And I've even shown this a few times, that even in Peru, when they take the ayahuasca, they take that drug, they can see a different reality than one that you and I are looking at when we walk in the forest. This is what the Shama down there says he sees. You can go get this book. I think it was only $2 or $3. The pictures alone were certainly worth that. If I just cut them out of this book and put them in frames, they're just too cool. Alright, so this thought form is then tuned into by the sensitives, clairvoyants and mediums of the world, who from now on will increasingly bring in more or less distorted form, the information of Christ's return. He releases in this way fragments of his teachings to prepare the climate of hope and expectancy, which will ensure his being accepted and followed quickly and gladly. So whoever's coming, they want we the people to follow him quickly and gladly. Maitreya the Christ. Benjamin Cream. 140 messages. So I thought I would just read 2 messages from this book and then take a look at the other book. Starting with message number 10. November 8th, 1977. I am among you once more, my dear friends. I come to tell you that you will see me very soon, each in his own way. I thought that was kind of odd. We're all going to see this manifested being, each in our own way. Those who look for me in terms of my beloved disciple, the Master Jesus, will find his qualities in me. So he's saying Jesus was his disciple. I'm not buying that. Who would say that? Those who look for me as a teacher are nearer the mark, for that is what I am. Those who search for signs will find them, but my method of manifestation is more simple. Nothing separates you from me, and soon many will realize this. I am with you and in you. I seek to express that which I am through you. For this I come. Many will follow me and see me as their guide. Remember, this is 1977. Many will know me not. My aim is to enter into the life of all men and through them change that life. Be ready to see me soon. Be ready to hear my words, to follow my thoughts, to hear my plea. So God is making a plea, this Maitreya the Christ coming. I am the stranger at the gate. So apparently God is a stranger at the gate. I am the one who knocks. I am the one who will not go away. I am your friend. I am your hope. I am your shield. I am your love. I am all in all. Take me into yourself and let me work through you. Wow. I think I did that one series on Aliens Among Us, Ruth Montgomery 163. And she talked about Arcturians walking into people's bodies, taking over those physical bodies. Freemasonry and Satanism, series number 163. I just did that the other day. I think about these things when I'm reading here. Take me into yourself and let me work through you. Make me part of yourselves and show me to the world. Allow me to manifest through you and know God. May the divine light and love and power of the one and holy God be now manifest within your hearts and minds. So I did notice in a lot of this material I've been going over, channeled material, whatever, light and love and the power of one, some common denominators. May this manifestation, I just talked about manifesting a reality, this dense holographic reality we live in. There may not be infinite space out there like Star Trek. It may be that we are in a created electromagnetic shielded dome or a sphere. I don't know. I think the powers that be know the truth. But may this manifestation lead you to know that God dwells silently now and forever within you all. And I believe we are spiritual beings, and I've done a lot of research, even the books I've gone over from the European Psychic Research Society, the American Research Societies, that were quite popular in the 1800s and early 1900s. Then it seemed to have disappeared, but then they brought us programming like Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie, and they make comedies and trivialize this other reality, which I believe was all intentional. Even the program mocking the Germans, Hogan's Heroes. You know, when I was younger, I enjoyed watching Hogan's Heroes. Who didn't? But I think about it now and I go, oh my. They were making fools out of the Germans. And they used to have Polish jokes. And who's next? All right, one more message here. Message number 11, January 5th, 1978. Maitreya, channeled through Benjamin Cream, I guess. My dear friends, I am happy to be with you once more. My plan is that my teaching should precede my presence and prepare my way. My people will release it through their groups and group endeavor. When mankind is somewhat prepared, my voice shall be heard. Meanwhile, my efforts are bearing fruit, producing change, drawing together men and nations, and bringing new hope to the world. So I was reading that and I thought about how Obama came onto the scene out of nowhere, obviously by these New Age planners behind the scenes. You know, they knew what the people wanted, and Obama came out of nowhere promising change. And they knew what the people wanted in the recent election, 2016, and they brought out Donald Trump, who promised to make America great again. Seems like they're playing us for fools. We didn't get change, and we're not getting great again. Donald Trump is bombing Afghanistan and Syria and lots of other weird things going on. Sending Rex Tillerson over to Iraq and Saudi Arabia so they can get military geared up and on the offensive against Iran. Apparently another proxy for fighting the Israeli battle for bringing about world domination, because they believe they're the aristocrats of the world. And it is a big debate. Some people say the Zionists are really not at the top of the pyramid. It's the Vatican or other organizations, maybe based under the mountains of Shambhala, some beings and creatures, spiritual entities. I don't know. I know that they are all working together and they're thinking we the people don't have the intellect or ability to understand. And I disagree with that. We can understand. It does take a little bit of discernment and just really pondering some of this material, looking at the pictures, and just coming up with some agreements. It seems the things that they're trying to destroy is the things that most of us should embrace. So if they want to destroy our belief in God, our belief in prayer, knowing that we're spiritual beings, and it's probably like some kind of software program, we can communicate with a higher being, God or Jesus or whatever you want to call it, whatever religion you are. They don't want us to know we have that kind of power. So it seems to me. Why would they put fluoride in the water and make us all lethargic? And sky spraying chemicals in the sky, reducing the Mother Nature natural sunlight and creating a series of detrimental light that reduces our energy and makes us ill. And toxins in the foods, and toxin information on TV program, cartoons, magazines. They're messing with our ability to be clear thinking, vital, strong humans. Remember, that's what Hitler did to the prisoners in Germany, putting fluoride in the water. It made them lethargic, and they needed fewer guards to watch all those people. So right now, they do not want an alert, healthy population who's aware of what is going on. That would be detrimental to their world domination globalist plans, which apparently involves the cosmic, another dimension of some fallen spiritual entities like the fallen angels mentioned in the Bible. And they call them reptilians or gray aliens or oranges or orbs. Which one of those beings, which of them are actually benevolent towards we humans? And even the Palladians, through Barbara Marciniak or Nancy Leader talking to the Zetas, you know, some of those entities and some of that channeled material say in the past they've done very harmful things to humanity, and they have come back to make amends and fix things. I'm not so sure I believe it. I am emerging soon, but first I would point the way into the new direction which man, if he would survive, must take. So Maitreya is saying, I am emerging soon. But first I would point the way into a new direction which man, if he would survive, must take. Firstly, men must see themselves as brothers, sons of the one Father. This is essential if they would progress one step nearer to the Godhead. Throughout the world, there are men, women, and little children who have not even the essentials to stay alive. They crowd the cities of many of the poorest countries in the world. This crime fills me with shame. So it's obvious he's reaching out for our empathy. But is it a sincere thing or just to get us to go along? My brothers, how can you watch these people die before your eyes and call yourselves men? And I say that to people, to their face a lot. I say, man, I can't believe you're not as outraged as I am that since 9/11 they're over there slaughtering all those people in the Middle East. And some of them are Christian or atheist or Buddhist or Hindu or Muslims. And they're dropping all those incendiary bombs over all those towns and cities and rural areas in all those countries in the entire Middle East. They don't care what religion people are. They're depopulating the area for some sinister forces to bring about a golden age. Meanwhile, in the news, they're finding all kinds of things with their archaeological digs. So they're destroying the people. And people tell me, Rick, it's not concerning you. They've been killing people forever. Don't worry about it. That's what people I know have told me. And I said, man, we're in deep trouble on this planet if that's how people think. So then I'm reading this here. My plan is to save these, my little ones, from certain starvation and needless death. My plan is to show you that the way out of your problems is to listen again to the true voice of God within your hearts, to share the produce of this most bountiful of worlds among your brothers and sisters everywhere. Meanwhile, they're dumping chemicals in the sky, which apparently is killing the trees, bees, birds, animals, and making humans sick. Some of them die. There's been some cities where I've had friends and they were dumping so many chemicals in the sky, people were going to the emergency room with breathing problems. So it seems like this chemtrailing, sky spraying program they're doing would be a pretty easy delivery system for any kind of plague if they ever get ready to exercise that option to attack humanity, or a nuclear war, or an EMF, or blame it on a comet, or a pole shift, or a bank collapse, which there are videos on YouTube saying that's imminent. It's only going to be imminent if they want it to happen. Or another terrorist thing, Las Vegas, 9/11. When is the next big one that they'll do? When are we going to wake up? I need your help, says Maitreya through Benjamin Cream. I call on you to aid me in my task. So God needs our help, or this being. How can I stand aside and watch this slaughter? Watch my little ones die? No, my friends, this cannot be. Therefore I am come quickly among you, once more to show you the way, to point the path. But the success of my mission depends on you. You must make the choice, whether you share and learn to live peacefully as true men or perish utterly. And I'm all for people waking up and stopping the madness. I wish they would. Grassroots level. Get away from the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the system that now exists. In your community, pick somebody, support him, get him to join the independent party or create a new party, the American People's Party, the APP, American People's Party. The APP. Maybe I could get that started. My heart tells me your answer, your choice, and is glad. May the divine light and love and power of the one, most holy God, fall now upon your hearts and minds. May this light, love, and power lead you to seek that which dwells in silence with you. Find that and know that you are God's. That's another part of the theme of this New Age. The theme that you are God. So I just wanted to read a little bit. I'm sure when I do part 3 or part 2 or whatever, future videos, I do write down on these pages what video they went into, so I can go back. And of course you can go, I've read other sections in here. That's message number 78. I did 10 and 11. So you can go online and find this book. But I want to look at the other one now and talk a little bit about it. So Maitreya is being channeled through Benjamin Creme. So should we believe this Maitreya? The reappearance of the Christ and the Masters of Wisdom. Benjamin Creme. Published in copyright 1980 and again in 2007. I'm not trying to do an audiobook, just reading some snippets. To my revered master, without whose overshadowing presence this book could not have been written. So for Benjamin Creme, is Maitreya his revered master? I'm going to jump to page 174. I went through this book and selected some things to look at. And I found some of these topics interesting, revealing. Page 174, the catastrophe complex. I guess we're all familiar with the catastrophe news. North Carolina wildfires, North Carolina droughts, North Carolina flooding, hurricane flooding in Texas, Florida, tsunamis, earthquakes, pole shifting, Nibiru, Anunnaki, economic destruction, terrorism, plagues, diseases. Doesn't end. Seems like we're under attack. But the catastrophe complex. This says, author's note, there is prevalent today what I call a catastrophe complex. From all sides, prognostications of disaster are being given out. I consider it necessary to counter this destructive fear syndrome, for that is largely what it is. There is catastrophe today. Millions are starving to death in a world of plenty. And I know it's the elites that are causing this, but we the people need to step up amongst ourselves. But look at Venezuela. I think it has more gold in the ground and oil in the ground than any country of the world. And the people are literally starving. And apparently the country financially collapsed the other day in the news. And I'm thinking, how can that be unless somebody intentionally wants it to be? And if that's the case, then we all need to beware. And if they have it planned for here in the United States, which seems likely, considering they've done things that we've all seen, that should indicate they're preparing for something. FEMA camps, underground governmental facilities being stocked up as reported by truck drivers and other people. Jade Helm 15, military exercises and equipment all across the United States. Even using software that will make the determination who gets eliminated, killed, and who doesn't, who gets arrested, where they're going to round up people. It won't even be humans making the decisions. Ordering 30,000 guillotines, buying millions and billions of bullets and so much more, taking out ads for crisis actors for all these shootings and bombings and situation exercises. Somebody's planning something. I wonder if we can all agree on that. Back to the book. There is catastrophe today. Millions are starving to death in a world of plenty. The incidence of earthquakes is lessening due to the presence of the Christ. So according to this book in 1980, the incidences of earthquakes is lessening due to the presence of Christ. So this being who came into our dimension is actually slowing down the earthquakes. He acts as the agent of divine intervention to mitigate their effects. But still they occur. The whole world is in a ferment of change, in which many old and much-loved forms are being swept away. But the forecast of inundations and destruction on a continental scale are based on nothing more than fear. A fear stimulated and maintained by the forces of evil, and their backs to the wall fight against their inevitable defeat, and a misunderstanding of the time focus. The continental shifts and destruction of the land masses, to which most of the prognosticicians, these people prophesizing disaster, pole shifting, Nancy Leader, Marshall Masters, Nibiru, most of the prognosticicians refer, most of these continental shifts, destruction of land masses, are not due to occur until some 800 years from now, according to the Maitreya the Christ. He's saying that all these people are prophesizing falsities. By that time, a more mentally polarized humanity, with the aid of the then externalized hierarchy, so these spiritual beings like Maitreya will be the hierarchy, the leadership, will find themselves well able to cope. All proceeds under law. This misunderstanding of the book of Revelation and Nostradamus is leading to an unhealthy overemphasis on disaster, thus engendering fear, which I, for one, am doing my best to correct. This is a time of the utmost hope and promise for mankind. Well, that was a little inspiring and hopeful. He's countering all those people that say the pole shift is imminent today or tomorrow or next week or next year, 2018. And they've been prophesizing it's going to happen 2012. Look what we had on 2001, 911. And since then, every year, all these predictions of a pole shift or planet Nibiru, planet X, the destroyer, accompanied by beings called Anunnaki who mated with humans years ago so they could create some slaves to mine for gold. What is the truth? So it's interesting to read these messages from this cosmic being channeled by Benjamin Crane. I selected another topic here on page 202 about this premature incarnation of underdeveloped souls. A premature incarnation of underdeveloped souls. So that's who they think we are, most of us. Premature incarnations of underdeveloped souls. Like a bunch of little children in first grade at recess populating the planet. That's my interpretation. If the world's population is constantly increasing, presumably there will be an even greater number of underdeveloped souls incarnating, and therefore violence will be increasing rather than decreasing. This message was March 1976, March 19th. So that was the question to Maitreya. Maitreya says, this is what is happening now. It is not what will continue to happen. Man will come to realize that the overpopulation of the world is a grave danger to the continuation of these species. Here we go with this population concern. They've been killing people for the last 100 years by the millions. So I don't believe their thesis about overpopulation. But a lot of people have been so programmed, so regularly, since grade school, even in cartoons, they believe it. And they're going to allow the continued depopulating of the people by apparently some sinister forces, some people who want to be the aristocrats of the world, but have enough people left as slaves, enough people they can control. Back to the book. Those are just my thoughts. Today, one of the major reasons, and this is the extraordinary paradox, for the huge population in the world is the overpopulation of the poorer areas of the world, the third world, those nations least able to afford to feed their peoples. In the modern, advanced, rich, well-nourished Western European and American nations, you have a relatively low population growth rate. But in the third world, you have huge families, 7, 8, 9, and more in a family. For one reason only, they are dependent upon having large families because they know that 2/3 or more will die before they can grow up, and the traditional peasant outlook on families as people to look after them in their old age. So the traditional outlook on families was to have so many kids that so when you got old, they would take care of you. That is their insurance, their pension for the future, because they do not have pensions. You see where they're putting the blame game here? They're not putting the blame game on the aristocrats who control the world and the finances, who, if they wanted to, use their energies to make a better world for all of us. What a world it would be. But instead they have Pizzagate and child pedophilia, satanic rituals, murdering people, human trafficking, wars, murder, torture, sacrifice. What kind of beings are these people who control our planet? But this is what the channeled Maitreya is saying, so I'll read on. That is their insurance, their pension for the future, because they don't have pensions. They have large families in many areas of the world simply to ensure that 1, 2, or maybe 3 will live into adulthood. The rest will surely die because the food of the world is not distributed among the needy of the world. If this food were distributed tomorrow, if the energy sources, the technical know-how, was shared throughout the world, no one would feel the necessity of having large families to ensure that they were supported in their old age. These are the facts of the case. The answer is plain. When we take steps, when we share the produce of the world, you will see that the masses of the poor people who are producing most of the forms for the incarnating egos So they're saying these poor people are having all these babies, which are allowing all these underdeveloped souls to appear on earth. Interesting outlook, point of view. So this would, who are producing most of the forms, that would be babies, for the incarnating egos, reincarnation, will take the steps needed to prevent this, so we can prevent these incarnating souls from getting on earth. And gradually the population will subside to a level which the planet can easily bear. I just thought it was interesting that yet again they're concerned with population. The next topic here I found in this book is on page 212, the reappearance of the Christ and the masters of wisdom, Maitreya the Christ, channeling through Benjamin Cream in 1977. So this topic here is Edgar Cayce. Well, this ought to be interesting. So they're asking Maitreya in the trance or during the lecture, can you comment on what Edgar Cayce said? He in fact said that before the end of the century, a great new religion would come out of Russia. He also said that the axis of the earth would change. He said that Atlantis would come up. He said that most of the United States would go down, and most of Western Europe would go down too. Also, has the lining up of the planets in 1982 significant? I wonder how you see this, 23/6/1977. Maitreya says, yes, the emergence of a new world religion from Russia. I have already spoken about that. It will, the Master DK has revealed, emerge from Russia, and it will be a very scientific religion. I do not mean scientific in the sense of some cold clinical thing, but scientific in the sense of the occult, esoteric religion, occult, esoteric religion, which I call witchcraft, for short, sorcery, magicians, so that we can all understand what it might be like. Witchcraft, witches. Esoteric religion dealing with the science of energy, so witchcraft, people who use magic, the occult, psychics, science of energies, the science of invocation, Stephen Greer's serious disclosure project, taking groups of people to the beach and doing invocations and calling forth aliens to appear. Stephen Greer, go look at his stuff, serious disclosure. I've got his books. I get his newsletters sometimes, invitations to this place or that beach or this country for some of these invocations to communicate with alien beings. The science of invocation will be the keynote of the new religion. So this new religion, I get little clues here, if they're true. This new religion is going to be communicating with these spiritual beings. This Maitreya is coming. Makes me think of an Antichrist, Lucifer, the beings, demons, prophecy in the Bible. Just saying. My thinking. You don't have to agree with me. Invocation will take place of prayer and worship and initiation, secret societies, where they swear on a Bible under threat of death not to divulge the secrets to the rest of us. Doesn't sound good to me to do that. Why would they keep all these secrets? On the rising of Atlantis. Yes, this will take place slowly. It is now gradually taking place. Atlantis is slowly rising. It will take about 800 years, though, So recently on this book here, I said that Maitreya said that we're not going to have pole shifts or catastrophes. It's 800 years out, but we're going to evolve psychically with our psychic abilities, a transformation of the human entity into a more powerful being that we can control the changes on planet Earth. So that's what my reading this and the understanding is. So Edgar Cayce, Maitreya, according to this material, is saying there's not going to be a disaster. It's about 800 years for Atlantis to rise out of the ocean. Not 1 week, or 3 days, or a month, or a year. What is always very difficult in prophecy, and this is almost as true as the prophecy of the masters, as it is for those like Edgar Cayce, who have been the recipients of trance information, is to place it in the precise time area. The emergence of the New World religion from Russia is said to be this century, and that may well be so. The Christ will inaugurate the New World religion, but this will only take place when the transformation of humanity is complete. The process, I would say, is already beginning. The fact that groups throughout the world are holding the full moon meditations, for instance, is part of the preparation for this New World religion. So they're having some kind of satanic witchcraft ritual called a full moon meditation, full moon meditations. Look at Las Vegas shooting on the Harvest Festival and all these other witchcraft, Illuminati, Kabbalistic, secret society, occult organizations, holidays on solstices, winter solstice, summer solstice, and when it crosses the middle line, it's the equinox going towards summer, equinox going towards winter. So you got 4 holidays, 2 solstices and 2 equinoxes. All right, so they're having these ceremonies, meditations on full moons in part of the preparation for this New World religion on these particular days. The destruction of part of the American mainland, and not all, but part of the European mainland and other parts of the world that will go down and the Atlantis come up is scheduled, but it is scheduled to take place in about 800 to 900 years from now. So this is conflicting with the channeled information from Nancy Leader and other information prophecy out there, Marshall Masters, Yowza.com, and all those other YouTube channels, Planet X, warnings and videos and fear propaganda. According to the material I'm going over, all this stuff is planned to mess with our psyche. Part of this new age and new world order. So Maitreya here says it's not for 800 or 900 years from now. So the questionnaire says, how do you know that? Maitreya says, well, I have been informed. Everything I say tonight, I put forward simply for your consideration. I am not being dogmatic about it, but it is so far ahead that I am not worried. Well, Maitreya is not worried. I'm not worried. What are we to believe? Shall I say this? I am sure enough of my information, without being dogmatic, not to be worried about the rise of Atlantis and the breakup of the American continent. By the time this takes place, the transformation of humanity, mentally speaking, will be so tremendous that mankind will be prepared for that event. The destruction of the form aspect of humanity will be as nothing and in any case limited in extent. Mankind will no longer, even in the next 100 years, have to fear death, mankind will no longer, even in the next 100 years, have to fear death. The realization that the body is simply a vehicle that lasts for a certain time and is replaced by another one will become so everyday to mankind that this fear of death and of destruction of the physical body and of the body of the planet will disappear. Wow. So if this body dies that I'm in, the people down at the hospital can have one waiting for me, for my soul to just jump in like a walk-in, according to Aliens Among Us, Ruth Montgomery, Series 163 video I made. And I've got to go over all those books again on reincarnation, Voices from the Cosmos, Angela Smith talking to all those aliens, the god Mithras, or From the Ashes of Angels video I made, 157. So to me, all these topics I'm going over recently are all connected. So the fear and death and of destruction by the physical body of the planet will disappear. They will take a conscious part in manipulating the energies which controls this. So all of humanity will take a mental conscious part of controlling the welfare of the planet and everything. And I'm a firm believer that we're all psychic. We have greater abilities. That's why they don't want us to believe in God and pray. And they have so many secrets to hide. This is taking place now in a controlled fashion. There is above Atlantis, or that part that went under, a great etheric center which holds all in balance, and as that center is weakened, energetically speaking, in relation to the floor of the ocean, the floor is allowed to rise just so much. So apparently it's going to take 800 years for Atlantis to rise again. And so fast, and no faster. It is not permitted to come up, zoom like that. It is a slow 3 to 4 inches a year process. It is done under law, under control. As to the lineup of planets in 1982, astronomers seem to differ about whether such a lineup exists. In any case, I know of no negative reactions which might result if it does. All right, I'm going to read one more section from this book, and then I have a surprising ending. The Sword of Cleavage. So I thought to myself, the Sword of Cleavage? And what they're referring to is to cleave to something. You know, you won't let go. Cleavage. Can you say something about the effect of the love energy of the Christ? Page 53. Love is a great impersonal energy and released into the world by the Christ. Its effect is twofold. So love is a great impersonal energy. It's like when people do bad things to you and they go, it isn't personal. When people do bad things to me, it's personal. But people go, man, it isn't personal. Right. But here it says love is a great impersonal energy and released into the world by the Christ. Its effect is twofold. It takes all the Christ skill and action. When they're speaking of Christ, they're talking about some anointed one, some being that's anointed. In action to ensure its correct absorption, because while it can and does stimulate goodwill, at the same time it can stimulate the opposite of that, which is hatred. So love is a great impersonal energy, and love can bring us goodwill, or love can bring hatred. It is essentially impersonal. That's kind of a bizarre thing to say. All men will feel, and do feel now, this energy, the good and the bad. That's one of the teachings of the New Age. There's no such thing as good or evil, bad or evil. It's just an experience, and you're put on this earth to do whatever you want to do. Aleister Crowley, the evilest man alive, with his book, series number 23, go watch my video. The law of one. There is only one law. Do anything you want to do. Do what thou wilt. Second law, refer to number one. Do what thou wilt. That's what this New Age is all about. The opposite of what God and the commandments tell us. Don't kill, don't steal, don't be adulterous, perverted person, don't lie, don't covet, don't worship idols. So the good and the bad, the altruistic and the selfish, all of us feel and react to this energy in one way or another. A tremendous intensification of these qualities is taking place and will continue. So this indifferent love, good and evil, a tremendous intensification of these qualities is taking place and will continue. This energy of love is the sword of cleavage. A great polarization will take place in humanity between those who are ready to go forward with the Christ, would that be the Lucifer or Antichrist, into the future, on the only rational basis of sharing and cooperation, the New World Order, globalism, communism, socialism, and cooperation for the good of all. So that's what they would have people believe. Creating right relationships. So you're going to follow this new Christ into the future, creating right relationships with a cooperation for the good of all. And then the opposite, the great polarization of humanity, the people who do not go along with this Christ, those who are holding on to the old separatist ways, who are ready, though they would not see it in these terms, it will be the inevitable result to plunge the world into chaos and war, a war which could annihilate the planet. So those of us who are unwilling to go along with this Christ and this creating right relationships and an only rational basis of sharing forward with this Christ, those of us who don't go along with this change, it says here, it would be the inevitable result to plunge the world into chaos and war, a war which now could annihilate the planet. So if we don't go along with this new Christ that's coming, and the people who oppose the New World Order, New Age, they're blaming it on us, like they're blaming the Christians right now for being haters, opposing the gay agenda, if you do, and all these other people who are not going along with the New World Order and can see right through the deception. Of course, the government officials will deem those people insurgents, terrorists, anti-government belligerents. I have a feeling the situation is going to get uglier. For those of us who resist the Antichrist or Luciferic Christ, the sword of cleavage, mankind will soon see, and remember, these are my opinions. You can interpret it your own way. And I know when people are programmed out there, there's nothing I can say or do. Once you're programmed, you are stuck. And people will get vicious and point at me and say, you're the hater. You're the one that don't like gay people. And I don't dislike gay people. I just don't think they should be forcing it on the rest of us or teaching it to children. But that's my opinion. I don't think they should be killing all those Arabs and not arresting the real villains in 911. But that's my opinion. I don't think they should be using directed energy weapons to cause earth destruction, forest fires, or controlling the weather, hurricanes, and all these other things. Sending Rex Tillerson over to the Middle East to meet with Iraq and Saudi Arabia to prepare for war against Iran, keeping Israel in the background. But those are my opinions, my observations, and my rationalization, my understanding, using my common sense. But these people would have you think that I'm the loon. Of course, it only took me 13 years of continuous reading and researching and trying to pay attention to try to figure this out. I had no idea. Anyways, mankind will soon see that there is no alternative to sharing the produce of the world. And, they use an argument like that, and I'm not opposed to sharing the wealth of the world and the food, but I'm not the one that's destroying it, chemtrailing, electromagnetic heart transmitters, and all these other things, toxins and poisons and GMOs and fluoride and mercury and radiation from nuclear power plants and covering it up. And what about the 4,000 nuclear bombs they exploded in the ground, on the ground, and in the atmosphere in the last 50, 60 years? That had to have caused a lot of pollution, destruction. Talk about harming Mother Earth. Mankind will soon see that there is no alternative to sharing the produce of the world. Every other method has been tried and failed, and has led inevitably to war, suffering, degradation, and misery. Well, I know who's been controlling the planet for the last couple thousand years, these elites and banksters. Wasn't you or me. And if these spiritual beings do exist, and these people were into witchcraft and the Kabbalah and all these other occultic organizations, they've been acting behind the scenes. They've been giving us kings and queens and Caesars and pharaohs, causing all the divide and warfare. You watch the movies or you read books, generally speaking, it's not the citizens. All the Germans weren't evil during World War II. All the Brits and Americans weren't evil during World War II or World War I. But the people who orchestrate these things from behind the scenes, they want to make the other people appear evil, the British to hate the Germans, and then the people in Germany go, oh, the British are evil, we got to kill them. Where does it end? This is the choice which lies before humanity, in which the Christ will present. In pure black and white, mankind will see it, is now seeing the alternatives: sharing, justice, right relationship, or annihilation. There is no alternative. And there's some truth that we should not be being selfish and greedy and work towards a better system. But the elites who are making billions and trillions, and even Israel sucking millions out of the United States every day, it's got to be hurting the bottom line of our country. And the politicians, bought and paid for, working towards a foreign relation policy which is not conducive to a healthy America. And I suspect that's happening in Europe. This other question is, how can we be sure that he, the Christ, will not be rejected? The answer, of course, is that we cannot be sure. But it is up to us to make sure he is not rejected. So they don't want us to reject this coming Christ. We willingly must follow. His is the task to lead and guide, but we willingly must follow. Otherwise, he can do nothing. His hands are tied by law. The decision rests with humanity. Those were his words to us here 2 weeks ago. The decision is ours, But as I explained, we have no alternative but to go forward through sharing and cooperation, and this is what the Christ will teach. So we have no alternative but the New Age and the New World Order. We must all accept homosexuality, transgenderism, and all these other changes and the destruction of Christianity and the Islamic religions and everything else. And the fact that they don't tell us who really did 9/11 or killed President John Kennedy, or even why they're going to destroy Iran and so much more. We all have to go along. What do you think? I don't think we should all go along. But then again, it says here that it'll be people like me who resist, who will cause the annihilation of the planet. You really gotta love this Maitreya guy. Humanity is now absolutely up against it. It is an impasse, and there is no way out. It is staring mankind in the face. So much so that all the uneducated and most of the educated peoples of the world are now terrified of the future. Well, who created all this terror? It's intentional. They see ahead of them nothing but destruction of one kind or another. Destruction through pollution, ecological destruction, through famine, destruction through overall overpopulation, through nuclear war, or a combination of all of them. There is no way out. And if you remember my video, The Coming of the Cosmic Christ, series 165, they said they had to create all this fear to make a change on the planet for the coming of the Cosmic Christ. And here comes the Cosmic Christ Maitreya, saying it's because of all these things that they created is going to cause mankind to go along. There is no way out. The Christ comes with a set of proposals which entail a complete redirection of human thinking and feeling. If we follow these, we go forward. We can reject them. It is up to us. He said recently, "Many will accept me, but not all. Nevertheless, my army of light will surely triumph." And a long time ago, he said, the end is known from the beginning, and you can assume that though one cannot say, I cannot say with any authority, yes, he will not be rejected this time. He will be accepted by mankind. So apparently the Pharisees, the Jews, rejected Jesus Christ, and they crucified him. But he's saying here, this time when the Christ comes, he will not be rejected. And of course they have to create all this chaos and anarchy on planet Earth. As President George Bush Sr. said, out of the chaos and anarchy will come the New World Order. A rule of law by these aristocrats will be making the laws. They will be the ones living in wealthy opulence like the Hunger Games movie. And they will depopulate a good portion of the people they don't want to feed, they don't need to feed. But they do have to keep some humans around for slaves and workers and entertainers and warriors and objects for sexual exploitation and probably food, blood, and all that sacrifice. Just my opinion from my research. I know that he has come at the earliest possible moment, but not too soon. There has been preparation going on for many years. The externalization of the hierarchy, the spiritual beings at the top of the pyramid, actually started as far back as 1860. Certain disciples came in, such as H.P. Blavatsky and others, who have been releasing to the world the New Age teachings. I almost fell over when I saw that. Certain disciples came to planet Earth, such as H.P. Blavatsky. And I've made videos on her material, The Secret Doctrine Volume 2. Looking at my bookcase if I can see the number. Secret Doctrine Volume 1 is series number 84. I'll see clearly. It's there. And then the ISIS is series number 98, I think, 99. ISIS Unveiled. So if you look at my list on rickmiracle.com, you'll see my Secret Doctrine Volume 2 when I was talking about the pole shift issue. H.P. Helen Blavatsky, creator of the Theosophist Society. So to finish this video, with that said, so H.P. Blavatsky brought us the New Age teachings, and apparently she's a disciple who came into planet Earth. I do not mean just the occult teachings. I mean new ideas of philosophy, of politics, of economics, etc. Mankind is now an adult and is prepared in an altogether different way than before when the Christ came in Palestine, Jesus. The Piscean experience, the spread of education throughout the world, modern communications have made it possible for a teacher now to come and speak to a really adult world for the first time. So the hope was, and I would say the almost certain fact is, that mankind will not reject this coming Christ. Again, Lucifer, Antichrist, and he says here, the beginning was back in 1860 when a certain disciple came in, such as H.P. Blavatsky, and that almost floored me when I read that in the Maitreya Coming of the Cosmic Christ, or the reappearance of the Christ, being channeled through Benjamin Cream. So I thought to myself, well, I've got a plethora of information on H.P. Blavatsky, the disciple who spearheaded this whole thing, created the Lucifer magazine. So you can go on the internet and do what I did and just put in Lucifer magazine. You'll find this link. And these are Egyptian statues, are they not? The ancient mystery religion. You see how all this is coming together? These beings, these Anunnaki, these people from Nibiru, Planet X, Lucifer magazine. So I got a whole stack of documents here. I obviously only got a couple of minutes, so I'll have to do a whole video in my press releases and media series for 2017 from this collection of material I've been collecting. Guess I got a lot of sunlight coming in. There we go. That looks better. Alright, so I'm just going to do a little snippet from this collection. I looked up Lucifer magazine, which was started by Helena Blavatsky, the disciple that Maitreya is talking about. And I got all these results. You can go on the internet and search out Lucifer magazine. You'll get a couple pages. So we got here 10,100,000 results. Lucifer magazine by Wikipedia. Lucifer magazine, Jesus is Savior. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. Lucifer magazine, the light bringer. Remember all this new age stuff I've been going over keeps saying light and love. We just read that love is indifferent. It can be good or bad, and hatred, if you want to believe that philosophy. The Light Bringer, How to Apply Theosophy. Lucifer, H.P. Blavatsky's London Magazine. So Maitreya is saying the New Age Renaissance in humanity began in the 1860s with H.P. Blavatsky. And I know that Zionism and Kabbalistic occult activities were going on for thousands of years, since the ancient mystery religion goes all the way back to the Pharaoh and the Egyptian pyramids and the hieroglyphics and the cuneiform tablets and monuments all over the world of pyramids and statues. So it's been around, this occult and shamanism all over the world. So Satan Magazine, a devilish magazine for Halloween. Theophist, Lucifer Magazine. So you can go look it up and do all your own research. So when I was reading this, and I see I'm clearly connecting the dots between all these demonic or satanic rituals during Emmys, Grammys, the Katy Perry video I was watching with Reese and Tim Rifat, or Jim, I was talking about it this morning, and him talking about the Illuminati on talk shows. So here's another document I found. I'm just briefly going to go over this a little bit out of this notebook. The editorial. We think we have been able to compose a highly varied Lucifer with both scientific, philosophical, and religious subjects. Lucifer Magazine. The article, The Mathematics of Religion, discusses the deepest essence of religion, but it also outlines how the most noble aspect of human consciousness can degenerate. Living in a world where religion often does much more harm than good, it is extremely useful to consider the content well. Lucifer Magazine. The degenerative process of religion often starts because people believe that logical thinking and philosophy contradict religion. In the article, Does Thinking Exclude Spirituality? An attempt is made to explain that spirituality and thinking are not in conflict with each other, something many people, including theosophists, often assume. What kind of meditation leads to expression of consciousness, and what kind does not? The scientific approach of classical homeopathy. This article not only deals with homeopathy, but also tries to answer the question what disease actually is. So holistic healing, which I'm a big fan of holistic healing. Finally, we answered a number of interesting questions asked by a reader about human and animal consciousness. We hope that this Lucifer Magazine may clarify some aspects of theosophy so that we are able to better express theosophy in our daily lives. So they are trying to bring us a Lucifer-oriented society. And if you go watch the TV program Lucifer, or you know anything about the Bible, Lucifer's supposed to be the devil. And it also involves the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the ancient mystery religions, which I like to call the occult, Kabbalah, witchcraft. All right, I'm just going to show you a couple things. I got a big, thick book. Can't go over it in this thing here. But there is something I wanted to show. That they had all these magazines. I got a list of them here for 28 pages, starting in 1887. And here it has this Lucifer character on the cover of the magazine. This being coming from the stars. And these are a list of the magazines. And I have 28 pages of these. I printed them all out. just going to read a couple of the magazine highlights. The Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, 1816 to 1896. George Lane Fox. Correspondence, the belief in a power and efficiency of a talisman. So that would be like a rabbit's foot, something, a lucky charm, but it's a talisman, a satanic thing that's supposed to bring you power. Like King Solomon's ring, six-pointed ring, he could call forth demons. So you can go look this up at www.austtheos.org. I'll show you the link if you want to pause your computer and go find this list of the Lucifer magazines. Correspondence are the teachings ascribed to Jesus contradictory. Gerald Massey. An adventure among the Rosicrucians by a student of occultism, Hartman, and Helena Blavatsky. This was 1887 October. Blossom and the Fruit, the true story of a magician, Mabel Collins. That's 1887 November. And the Blood Covenant, a primitive rite, and its bearings on Scripture, in H. Clay Trumbull, Gerald Massey. Blood Covenant? So anyways, that's page 1. And like I said, I have 28 pages. Here's another page. I got 28 long pages of the articles in the Lucifer magazines, starting back at 1887. And some more of the highlights are the real history of the Rosicrucians. And I keep saying the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, the Kabbalah, the satanic churches, all this propaganda in our reality is all connected. The New Age, New World Order, globalism, taking over the school systems, communism, Zionism, even the top levels of the Vatican. It's permeating everything in our reality. They've been working at this a long time. The Blossoms and the Fruit, the true story of the magician, Theosophy and modern socialism. That's what it says here. Theosophy and modern socialism by a socialist student of Theosophy. So the socialism and the progressives bringing us the gay agendas, all part of this. The Rainbow Coalition, the New Age movement. And as it said in this book here from the Maitreya, those of us who reject this new Christ will be responsible maybe for the annihilation of the planet. More in here, idealism versus Lucifer and the adversary, H.P. Blavatsky, the morning star, Lucifer's known as the morning star, Malin Feg, the seclusion of the adept, comments on light and the path, Triangle, correspondence, socialism and theosophy, Thomas Harbottle, the Blossom and the Fruit, the true story of the magician, Mabel Collins. That would be 1888, February. And Talisman Magic, Saturn, Lindell McGregor Mathers. Got 28 pages, and I only just showed you a couple highlighted things that I saw the titles of. And then, of course, the Secret Doctrine, books I've gone over and made videos on. And I have a whole thick thing here I could go over. And we already know, just I'll show you this one page or two, but in this book, this big thick book I have here, binder, the symbols are everywhere all over the world. The symbols are everywhere all over the world. So you can go look up Lucifer magazine and find all this stuff and look at all those links. But I'll try to make a 2-hour or 1-hour video just on what I've collected here. Examine this further. This Lucifer connected to the Maitreya the Christ, to the New Age, New World Order, Theophist Society, the occult. Connecting the dots, Egyptian hieroglyphics having everything to do with 9/11, World War I, World War II, this paradigm shift and this creation of the state of Israel, Zionism, it's all connected. Hollywood, all this weird stuff in the news, it's all connected. Thank you for watching my video, Rick Miracle reporting.